So we're at the gathering of Crystal Light Souls, and people take vitamin pills, pharmaceutical pills, but you apparently have the missing pill. What's your name?
Hi Marcus, my name is John Ryan.
Dr. John Ryan, am I correct?
That's correct, Dr. John Ryan.
And you're a doctor of?
Diagnostic imaging. I'm a medical specialist in diagnostic imaging and a university professor. But the work that I'm here representing is a little bit different than the mainstream or academic work that I do in clinical medicine. It's really the fallout of a whole life experience that's led me on a trajectory of consciousness and healing that is more energetic or spiritually based in its foundation. So the book is a summation of that experience in my life and how it can be helpful to other people.
So what led you to writing this book?
So over the years I've done a lot of healing work, and by healing work I mean consciousness-based healing work and energy-based healing work with people to help open up new venues or new stream of healing potential for people who are looking for healing and adjustment in their lives. And but as I worked with people, I found myself often recommending books and different experiences, and I realized that it's a very costly adventure for people to do this. And I wanted to bring together all of the foundational knowledge that is required to have an understanding of what's possible through energetic healing and consciousness-based healing. And so the book is a primer. It's a synthesis of all of that information in one place so that you can kind of read through this book even if you know nothing about energy healing or energy medicine, and have the foundation that you need to see what tools are available to you and what techniques and opportunities are available to you through the realm of energy medicine. Now, interestingly, as I began to write this book, that was the core inspiration that led me to write it, but through the development of the book I also began to have some very personal energy-based experiences that taught me more of a quantum healing and working with DNA, and that's integrated into the last section of the book. So I realized the book is a primer. It brings you up to the threshold of that potential, and then we introduce what is referred to as unity field healing at the end of the book.
Tell us about the frequency healing, and you also talked about DNA.
Yeah. So in the physical body there's a structural DNA, or DNA as we're familiar with at this point. But there's also more and more information emerging about the concept of quantum DNA, or a field of energy or spiritual information that's part of the DNA system. And it's very esoteric information. It's not something that we talk about in medical circles or even in research to most degrees at this point. It's more esoteric type knowledge. But I lived revelatory visions, if you will, in meditative experiences that showed me the essence of this, or the nature of quantum DNA in the field, and how we can work within that field to accelerate healing and promote healing within our physical body and in our mental and emotional body as well.
So how did you get involved in this path in the first place?
Well, it was a spontaneous experience for me. I was not really looking for spiritual information or spiritual experiences. I wasn't really a spiritual person in that context. I always believed in the cardinal principles of life, basic goodness and kindness and all these things, but I really wasn't spiritual in my orientation. And I lived some experiences back in the early 90s that began to stir awake curiosity. I began to have what I later recognized as a Kundalini activation. And I was experiencing a lot of vibratory changes in my body and having visionary experiences, lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, these types of things that many people now have had the experience of. And it stirred in me a curiosity, because I didn't know what I was living at the time, and I didn't understand what I was living, and I began to look for answers. So it led me on a spiritual search, and that's really how this all began for me. And then over the years I've learned lots of things about energy-based healing and had many more experiences through the years that taught me about working with the human energy field. And that's really the impetus, the beginning of all of this work in my life.
Now, at this gathering of Crystal Light Souls, today in particular you're talking about a variety of ways that I think you created a certain type of service that allows someone to activate their DNA, something like that. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course.
And this came from your downloading or visions or...
Yeah, through meditative visionary experiences, yeah. So I mean, it's when we're dealing with esoteric information, it's hard to know sometimes where that comes from, but people live this quite spontaneously all the time. People who are writers or creative people so often have experiences where they know they're bringing in information from another realm, if you will, or another dimension of consciousness. And I believe a lot of creative activity really is that way. But for me, this experience came through visionary experiences where I saw things through my third eye and was shown the spiritual DNA axis. And then I lived personal activations as I was shown these visions that taught me about the reality, if you will, of the spiritual DNA and how we can work within the spiritual DNA system to promote healing. And then I was subsequently shown a light template, which is an unusual concept for most people I know, but you work with this process meditatively through audio guided sessions, and the attunements that you make there are 3 sessions. The first session is an attunement to your own personal spiritual DNA axis. The second session is attuning to this light template, which is on the cover of the book right here. Looks like a multiple figure 8 or infinity symbol with yin and yang pattern in it. And this template is an activating template. It can work within the structure of the DNA system to help restring, if you will, or recalibrate or reconnect, and to help people with that process. And then the third session is for working with very specific intentional healing. Because as each of us journeys through our own life experience, we all come across things that are challenges, if you will, or difficulties. And it's a way of being able to plug a very specific intention into a healing process. And then the sessions are about 30 minutes in length, and you listen to them and you undergo the meditative attunement to the work.
So let's talk about your own personal experience when you were shown this and you applied it to yourself. What changed in your life?
So the biggest thing changed in my life is an understanding of the nature of reality.
And you're a medical doctor, so that's a big change.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're all very used to living in a very 3D context, and especially in academic and scientific endeavors, it's a very 3D based concept of life. And through the experiences I lived, I was just exposed to the fact that there's so much more to reality than we understand, and there is truly a spiritual element, and each one of us is a spiritual entity, and we're composed of an energy system or an energy structure. And what we experience and live in the 3D world is really an outpicturing of that inner energy, if you will, or that inner experience. When you start to view life that way, or when you approach your own life that way, you begin to access that part of yourself, and it brings other potentials for healing into your reality that really aren't there until you open your mind beyond the 3D understanding of nature, if you will.
So how does it relate to healing or your healing services?
So, I mean, healing to me is, I always view it as a restoration of balance and wellness in the body. And things that take us away from that make us unwell or put us at dis-ease. And that can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional. So healing is really a process of restoration. It's bringing things back to a more balanced and ordered way within the body and within the mind. And so this system is really, because it's so spiritually and energy-based, it's really about helping people restore that connection, if you will, to their own spiritual nature, and helping bring the energy of that consciousness alive in your own life.
Is it mainly activating it on a DNA level as opposed to other healing modalities, and it could be energy medicine as well?
Of course.
That was my understanding after attending this.
Yeah. I mean, many people are receiving information these days, and when you step back and you look at the big picture, I believe all of these systems are related. I don't think there's a sense of this is only DNA, or this works only with DNA, or this is the best system to work with DNA. I believe that this is more of a divine birthright. Every one of us has this connection. And these modalities are to help people really reestablish what is innately their own, if you will. So there are different tools that are available, but this specific tool works within the quantum DNA field. That's the way it was shown to me, and the way that it was presented to me to teach to other people. So yes.
So Dr. Ryan, so someone took this missing pill, depending on their wellness challenge, how soon would they expect results, and what are some of the typical results or experiences people have on working with their DNA from a spiritual point of view?
It's interesting because there's a spectrum of experience. It's hard to give a pat answer to that because a spiritual healing, unlike a 3D based healing, is not really sort of remedy fix. It's not like you're attacking a disease or you're trying to eradicate something that is present. You're actually trying to use that as a stepping stone or a catalyst to restore a balance. And that can be a very big picture thing or a very instantaneous thing. So people sometimes spontaneously heal. They have these, sort of unbelievable physical cures from ailments that are not really believed to be highly treatable. We call that spontaneous healing in medicine. We don't understand it. And when we experience it as physicians, we kind of just throw our hands up and say, boy, you're very lucky. That's amazing that you experienced that. But other times there's a process that is involved for people, and from my own experience I've learned that that process is often very important in helping that person define their own spiritual purpose. And a lot of people who go through healing odysseys, if you will, become aids or support people that help other people face the same kinds of conditions or experiences that they face themselves. So they become teachers and healing support type people as well. And so that person's journey may be a little longer because it's important they're educated along the way about the experience. What's daunting, I think, for people is when you approach esoteric healing or energy healing, you're exposed to so much at once and it's all new. And you don't know where to begin. Like if you walk in a New Age bookstore or a healing bookstore, there's crystals, there's energy, there's pendants, there's all kinds of things coming at you, and a spiritual component, an energetic component, and you don't know how to synthesize these things into a meaningful knowledge base. And so really for me, the primer of this work was to create that foundation so people could sit down and know nothing, read this, and have a nice base, solid foundation on which they could build their own experience of healing.
So if they want to take those experiences home after reading a book or having a session with you, do you also have certain exercises or homework they can do on a regular basis to maintain that new vibratory awareness?
So the third session of the Unity Field Heal work is a meditative session that's really meant for intentional focus. So the ongoing part of this work is really to be able to use that third session over and over again. So say, for example, someone is experiencing anxiety and they want to put an intention to help heal that issue in their reality, and they work with session 3 after attuning to session 1 and 2. Then after they've done that work and they feel that the anxiety is settled, they may encounter a physical problem and they want to start working on that, and they can reapply the very same session and start working with that intention in the work. And so it's kind of available in a consistent and ongoing way, unending way really, till it's not needed.
Good. So for those that don't want to miss that pill, what's your contact info?
So people can access me most easily through my website. It's www.drjohnryan.org. So that's drjohnryan.org.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So are you prescribing me this pill?
It's yours.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's just totally very.